So any story about how things fundamentally are, any philosophy that offers a kind of big picture, has to account for the way that we share ordinary objects. And if we learn from Heidegger, if we are reminded by Heidegger of the pre-theoretical life world, of the way that we mostly are tool-using beings who are going about our business, that we are in this context that is familiar to us, that we just drive down the interstate or wash the dishes. We live in this pre-theoretical immersion. We have this skill. Objects mostly manifest to us circumspectively as handy, as good for this, as good for that, and not in this thematized, articulated way, not verbally articulated. But we might talk about the deeper articulation of the life world that makes conventional signs possible. To signs, meanings accrue because the life world, the pre-theoretical world, is already articulated in this deeper sense. Okay, so we share an object. There's a cat that lives in my house. My wife also sees this cat. We talk about this cat. We feed this same cat. How do people share objects? So I've suggested in previous videos, and this was largely inspired by Husserl, that the empirical object is a logical, interpersonal, temporal synthesis or unity of its moments, adumbrations, or aspects. So the word logical, etymologically, it goes back to linguistic. We comport ourselves toward these same enduring, between us, interpersonal objects. So a moment of an object, that is a face of the object. Face appeals more to our tendency toward a visual metaphorics. So I like to use moments, at least in passing, as a somewhat more appropriate technical term, and I hope to explain why. The logical synthesis that gives the identity to an object, that is the idea of the object, that makes it an ideal manifold, all the different manifestations or appearances of the object are unified, and this would be something like the tacit gluing together of individual perceptions into perceptions of one and the same cat or one and the same enduring river. So we can step into the same river twice because we treat that changing water as the enduring interpersonal between us, transcendent in the phenomenological sense, river. But as I've emphasized in the first video, perception is always from a point of view. Perception is given in a kind of flash. So we could also say that objects are the synthesis of their effigies in the fire of time. This or that perception, it comes and goes, and it's always from a point of view, and it's embedded in a current life context. So if I look at one side of the coin, I am not looking at the other side of the coin. If I look at an apple in candlelight from this side, then I'm not experiencing the manifestation of that same apple in the noonday sun from the other side or from above. So the reason we would want to call consciousness something like temporality or primordial or original time is because time is something like the continuing revelation of things, of objects. This is the idea that existence is aletheia, deconcealing. But strangely, time can only show by hiding, in the sense that to perceive the object from this side is always to not perceive it from the other side. So the object can only manifest one face, one moment of its being at any instant. Therefore, we use the term moment, a moment of the object. So the object would be an interpersonal synthesis of all of these moments, which are also its appearances that are not contrasted with its reality. It is the nature of existence, the nature of time, to never give the object completely, to only give the object in these pieces that I'm calling moments or faces. So time is itself a coin with two sides. It shows only by hiding, and it hides only by showing, in that the idea of an empty moment, it makes no sense. The empty experience. If I'm not seeing one thing and I'm an I, then I'm seeing something else. And if I'm seeing this, if I'm hearing the first part of the melody, I'm not seeing that, I'm not hearing the last note of the melody. So for the object to reveal itself to different people at different times, and yet still be that object, we have to have this kind of logical synthesis. So we see this deep relationship between being and time, and this is something that philosophers have talked about forever, but I think we can get a very strong grip on it. Time shows by hiding, and you might call this the bottleneck or linear structure of experience or existence, or of time itself in that original sense. So returning again to early Heidegger, and whatever you think of the later stuff, his early work just brilliantly calls our attention back to the pre-theoretical world that is always already significant in this pre-theoretical way. So you might say that objects are sort of forced to or always manifest themselves or put their faces into a dynamic contexture, context and texture. In this contexture, you would maybe call it a stream of experience if you're going to echo William James, but you could also call it the world worlding from a particular embedded, embodied, incarnate point of view. So this approach, we don't have mind and matter, the objects manifest perceptually in a way that you can connect these perceptions in a chain. They're embedded in a particular stream of experience. So you have something like a system of streams of experience, but this experience is world itself, the world itself worlding. And this is phenomenalism. You can call it ontological perspectivism. It is what Heidegger is saying, what Merleau-Ponty is saying, and I've already done videos on that. It's Dasein is monad. Monad is a situated presencing of the world itself. And this presencing is nothing internal. This is not some user interface. Instead, the idea of this completely dead, mathematized world, this is a cultural construct which is useful. It helps guide us through the maze of experience, but it's a kind of mystification to mistake this tool or this map for the truth about reality. I would say instead that the truth, if we even want to use that term, would be reality in its blazing plenitude.